I can see how we can help Jersey and as a community to develop this sport, because I think it's very, very important to highlight what Jersey has, especially when it comes to beaches, which are free courts mainly.
And just be able to share those experiences and kind of with the teammates that you've obviously made friends with now, and so that this is what volleyball's about. Get support from the schools. Introducing volleyball into the schools, I think, would make a big difference to volleyball on the island, because there's minimal on the island.
Even though we seem like a funky bunch, we are actually really welcoming. You sort of come along to the first session, we take it nice and easy, and then we show you the ropes. And I'm sure by the end you'll know that what we're all talking about when we say we love the sport.
Welcome to a brand new episode of Sportscast Jersey. Today we are joined by a few faces from Jersey Volleyball. There's a few of them, so I'm going to ask them to introduce themselves, and let's go ladies first.
Hi Dan. Thank you for having us. I'm Andrea. I'm part of Jersey Volleyball. I've been a player since 2015, and I've been with the teams and the committee in the past few years.
Hey Dan, so thanks for having us. So my name's Tim Sylvester. I've been playing volleyball in Jersey for 12 plus years. Been on the committee and the club treasurer for the past, probably about 8 years or so, if not more.
Fair enough. Yeah, hi Dan. Thanks again for having us on your lovely platform. So my name is Edouard Parslow, or Ed. I'm a recent joinee of the committee, and I've been a player with the JVA, or Jersey Volleyball Association, since 2013.
Amazing. Good intros. First off, I always kind of ask whoever my guests or guests are, have you always been into sport? Let's start with Ed on this one.
I'd say following with sort of like school. I've always been involved with a mixture of the usual sort of football, cricket, and other sports, mainstream sports that schools involve you with. And then with a bit of a sort of sideways sport like volleyball, I think we touched on it a little bit, but I mainly picked it up outside, and then it just sort of snowballed from there and ended up fully committing to it. So, yeah.
Yeah, amazing. How about you, Andrea?
I actually started playing volleyball in school. I think I was 10 years old back home, because I'm originally from Romania. We have at least two sports that we practice. So we had basketball and volleyball, and then we had the third sport that we could have as an option. However, for me, it was volleyball all the way, and that's how I was introduced to it. And I was very lucky to have a good teacher, and then my teacher became a coach.
Yeah, amazing. And yourself, Tim?
Yeah, so sport's always been a big part of my life from a young age, playing sports at school, playing sports outside of school, whether it's football, basketball, badminton, athletics, you name it. And then coming to Jersey when I did at the age of about 24, it just had the opportunities to continue doing that, which was great. Having the ability to finish work at 5 o'clock and be playing sport at 5:15 was great. And having beaches so close to you and being able to play volleyball on the beach was how I got into the sport.
Yeah, amazing. And I guess the question for all of you again is, when you first started volleyball, were you kind of natural? Did it take time to really get into the sport and get kind of good, so you were hitting properly and what have you, like straight away, or did it take time? Let's go with Tim.
Yeah, so volleyball for me was very much a social sport when I was younger, about 17, 18, go on holidays to Cornwall and play beach volleyball down there. And it wasn't really more than that until I came to Jersey. I said around 24, a friend of mine played volleyball. So we started playing on the beach. It helps that I'm quite tall. So people sometimes assume you're good at it, but it did take hard work, and those days going indoors and getting training from our president, Paul Adamson, really helped. So I started from scratch, really.
Well, I think thankfully I've been on both sort of sides of sort of starting off in volleyball, both myself and then as sort of a coach looking to see how players develop. So I think it's a bit of a steep learning curve at first because it's a huge mix of like hand-eye coordination and movements to get the ball right. Because it's unlike netball and football where you're holding onto the ball or in control of it. You've got to sort of bump it up like a hot potato. But like Tim was saying, if you put a bit of time into it and then you get the flow of it, then it's really decent to be able to come out. So it took me, I think, a full summer to sort of get to terms with it. But beach down on the beach is the highlight.
Yeah. Do you agree, Andrea?
Yes, definitely. For me was I started indoor. I actually had some background in my family. My mom used to play volleyball. So I played indoor for years, and then I came to Jersey and I started to play on the beach. And I had no idea how to play beach volleyball, even if I had a bit of background with volleyball. However, I got a lot of help and a lot of guidance from colleagues and coaches. And now we're at the stage where I can tell that I've improved a lot as a player, and also I can see how we can help Jersey and as a community to develop this sport, because I think it's very, very important to highlight what Jersey has, especially when it comes to beaches, which are free courts mainly, and also indoor options, which we're supporting during winter.
Yeah. You kind of touched on it there, moving from indoors to on the beach, and how different is the transition, or are the sports, I guess, and the style of sports and the way the sport is played inside and outside?
Yeah.
I would say it's quite a challenge coming from a steady surface, playing any sports on sand. It's going to be a challenge, and it takes a bit of training. It takes a bit of willpower as well, because in the first few sessions you might get a bit disappointed thinking I'm very slow on sand, this is not natural. But with motivation and proper people around you, you can actually start to enjoy it. And just having the sun around you and the sea and the sand, everything is just the ideal environment to practice any sport in general.
Yeah, fundamentally, the sport's the same. You've got the concept of getting the ball from one side of the net to the other, but the balls are different from indoors and outdoors. The nets are different sizes. The courts are different sizes. Obviously, as Andrea touched on, you're playing on sand rather than a sports hall floor. You generally play 2 people on the beach rather than 6 people on the court. The rules are completely different. You can do different things with the balls in the 2 different sports. So there is a big adjustment. I think the biggest adjustment for me is when I go outdoors is the weather, the wind. It's a good excuse sometimes to say, it's the wind's fault, but it does take a big effect when you play in some of these, especially Jersey conditions.
No, I didn't even think about the wind and the conditions outside, and I was just sand. But yeah, the wind's a big one. In terms of, I want to move on a little bit and talk about what's happening playing wise, competitive wise so far this year and this season. You've entered Hampshire League. How did that come about in the first place? When did you first think, okay, let's do this and let's challenge ourselves like that? Go with Ed with this one.
So I think following COVID, I think that was probably one of the most recent like mark points and checkpoints in the committee's sort of history. We sort of identified that people still wanted to play, it was still good, but we needed to sort of climb up a little bit to bounce back. And in our first year back, basically when everything sort of came back to normal, or quote unquote normal, we played against Guernsey in the usual Interinsular, and they were a very strong opponent across all teams. And what we quickly realized is that they were getting game time. So being on an island, it's quite a challenge to find other teams to play against if we don't have the numbers. And they were going away to England, and hence the Hampshire League. So once we spent a full season sort of putting the team together and making sure everyone sort of knew how to play, then we were sort of looking at ourselves and saying, right, we're ready to take the next step and go ahead. So thankfully this season, yeah, we've really taken it. And as you can see from our first results, yeah, we've certainly made our mark in Hampshire. So yeah, really, really good stuff.
Yeah, and in terms of playing over there and playing, I guess, opposition, with Guernsey, often is the case in sport and what have you, you kind of know the opposition and you know what after a while you know who you're playing against. So how good has it been to play against unknown opposition and even talk to them as well after the game and hear their thoughts on the sport you all love as well? Let's go for Andrea on this one.
Oh, yeah, it's been a bit not necessarily challenging because when we played from a women's team perspective, when we played Guernsey last year, luckily we won. But we can see that they, as Ed said earlier, they had more gameplay. They had more time to kind of get to that mentality of we're in a game, we have to win this, and they were really, really fighting back. I think for us, because we were there 2 weeks ago, and we luckily managed to win 3 games out of 3. It was quite challenging to get used to the atmosphere, getting used to a bigger hall, getting used to different games and different teams. I think it all comes to the players and how they would like to approach any game day. If they have a good day, they're gonna just smash it, literally. And because we've not been doing this for years, I think it was amazing to watch all our players and how a team can just become one and just fight for winning. So it's just a mentality, and it all comes back to players and how they gel with the team, basically.
Yeah.
I believe it's been brilliant because Andrea and I have been fortunate to play in some island games in the past, and we've played competitively against various teams, and we've got new players coming into the sport now. And they've played against Guernsey. That was, I think, some of them, that was their first ever game was against Guernsey last year. We played in St Malo a couple of games, but to actually share an experience like we did last month in Hampshire, playing these different teams who each team's completely different. Some are really good at hitting, some are really good at passing, and just be able to share those experiences and kind of with the teammates that you've obviously made friends with now, and so that this is what volleyball's about.
Yeah.
It's about playing with these different teams and variable teams and learning from it as well, because I think they're only going to learn by playing more games like what we're doing in Hampshire.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, Ed, you coach as well. I guess you're all experienced enough to kind of guide these new players and what have you as well. But Ed, as a coach, how good has it been to kind of go over there and help the development of the players and the girls as well, and see that side of the sport and the games as well, I guess.
Yeah, it's been really invaluable. So sort of echoing on what Andrea and Tim were saying, it's just having that game experience because you can train as much as you want, but being in that competitive atmosphere is just like completely different. Just being able to stay level-headed and keep your composure, that sort of sets you apart from being at the top of the league and then struggling. So yeah, it was really heartwarming to see everyone sort of pull the skills that we've been practicing for so long and then pull it out the bag and make it. So yeah, it wouldn't have been able to have done it without sort of just the committee's help. Even like more experienced players like Tim and Andrea, who were able to sort of pick up the players who were sort of like having questions and then just be there on court with them just to sort of help each other out. It's magical being in their moment.
Yeah, definitely. And what I want to ask as well, you all mentioned last month and the trip over there, and how good was that feeling when all those wins came through, and as one you could celebrate it as kind of a club and as a sport representing Jersey. How good a feeling was that?
Can I start answering that? Because I would say men's went there first. So our men's team had 3 wins. They came back home with 3 wins. So ladies' trip was scheduled 2 weeks after, and we had this pressure, I would say, of coming back home with 3 wins. Even if no one said it, we all felt it, and we went there not feeling necessarily pressured, but encouraged that our men's team managed to do this and have this amazing result. We have to go and actually deliver exactly the same. And one thing I would like to mention is, like, when you travel abroad, anything can happen. Your taxis might be late. I don't know, somebody might forget their shoes or something, which could happen. We're all human beings. We make mistakes. And also being able to overcome all these tiny impediments and still manage to play and just deliver, I think it's amazing. And it makes everyone come back home with this amazing feeling of, we've done it. We've not had everything perfect. However, this is what we managed. And we know we can be even better than that.
Yeah.
After the men's trip, after the men's games, me personally, I think everyone else as well, you could tell we were all buzzing from the results. I haven't felt like, winning 3 games on the trot against teams that were unbeaten, some of them in the league who've been playing previously, and to come out of there with 3 wins out of 3 was unbelievable. And I said, I haven't felt anything like that since Island Games and winning games there. So to experience that with the other teammates who've never experienced it before, it was an amazing feeling.
Yeah. I guess that's what sport's all about as well. And on the other side with sport, if you do want to be competitive at it and want to push yourself, obviously you can play volleyball socially, and just enjoy it that way. But this gives that extra kind of push if you did want to go that next level. And how big could this be for the sport going forward, and encouraging others from the outside to start the sport as well? Go with Tim first on this one.
Yeah, I think this could be huge because previously there was always the drive and the thirst for Island Games. Every 2 years, volleyball will be a key part of those Island Games experience, and so everyone was working hard to get into that. And when you made the team, it was like a massive achievement. I was getting older, and I thought maybe that's the kind of death of volleyball. We didn't see many people coming in. Obviously, COVID came as well, and I thought, this could be something that the JVA is not really kind of struggling. They're struggling, but we've got new people in, we've got new interest, and the news of no Island Games or volleyball in Island Games in the next few games was really thought, okay, what can we do next? What is the next biggest thing? And we've gone to St Malo, which was fantastic for a couple of games, but having this Hampshire League is a real pull to people to look, this is what you can do. You can go away and travel with the sport. It's not just a hobby, or you can go away, compete, play against some good teams. If you do well in the Hampshire League, you then go move on to the southeast regions, and obviously if you do well in that, you can keep going ahead. Obviously, not getting ahead of ourselves, and but the opportunity is there. So, with obviously the lack of volleyball being in Island Games, this has been a big draw.
Yeah, definitely. And have you seen that in terms of, also it's a draw, but it's to keep people in the sport and to help push their improvement and what have you as well? Have you seen that extra urge and extra motivation from within as well? I guess we'll go with the coach heads for this one.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been it's a very good point actually, because it's following on the games. It's you could sort of see with the more experienced players, even though they've played for so long, you could sort of see that reignite of passion after they've tasted proper competitive volleyball again, and they were like, oh, we want to keep playing. Even with the players who didn't even go, you can suddenly see a big interest in being like, right, this is it. I want to train. I want to be a part of this team, and it's taken off. I think it's a big milestone for the club in being able to push forward into competitive. And I think, dare I even say, maybe next year, when we get the numbers after this summer, which is usually our big recruiting season, we could even have our own competitions and indoor league here, which would be amazing. It'd be just like the old days before my time.
Yeah. And in terms of future goals, we'll come on to. I want to touch one more thing on the travelling and going away, but in terms of future goals, I know you've spoken to me about it, and in terms of that league, even bringing teams here, how good would that be for volleyball and growing the sport again in Jersey? We'll go with Tim.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be fantastic. It's something we've missed for years. We had leagues. I mean, when I first joined, we had a little league. I know years before that, in the 90s, there used to be, dozens of teams playing volleyball, and it was really big on the sport on the island. Sorry, and everything we're going to be doing now is to try and bring some of that back, and it's only going to help us. We're just a small club. Everything gets funded by the players. We don't get any sponsorship really, so it's tricky. So ideally, we want to get to that stage where we get sponsorship in. We can travel more. We can start setting up competitions so that people can come to us. We've had some teams shown interest from Gibraltar and Isle of Man to come over and visit, but I think until we've got sort of proper setup and we can really get people coming over and organising it well, then it's quite tricky. But that's where we want to get to. We want to be able to hold competitions we used to in the past. I think like the Jersey Open, you get teams coming over from England and France coming over playing for the weekend. It's a great weekend, and you're going to be able to keep doing that. And because we've been in the sport for so long, we'd hate to see it kind of dwindle and fall away when it's kind of in our control at the moment.
Yeah. I just want to touch on something Tim just said then. Sponsorship wise, how big could that be, and how much are you looking for that, and some local support for the sport as well?
Yeah, sponsorship would be really invaluable. Yeah, it's as Tim was correctly saying there, all the players and the committee members have sort of been forking out of their own wallets to sort of try and support the hall rental, equipment, and other kit. So it'd be really invaluable just to have any sort of contribution, and then we can just split it and then allow it to take the pressure off our players and stuff. I think Andrea's been really, really useful and proactive with this. So she actually knows a lot more than I do. So Andrea, do you want to talk about it? Because you've been reaching out to loads of different businesses and getting out there. So
the committee has created a plan, and we present our team and the club and all our history. And we've been reaching out to different companies and trying to get a bit of help. We're not greedy. We don't ask for thousands and thousands. I think what we were asking initially was just to get some support to kind of facilitate the traveling for our players. However, because what we're doing now is quite new, we did get feedback back. Companies were saying that they already have plans in place with different sponsorships, and they might be reviewing this in the next year. So we are still trying to reach out. We had some contributions from different small companies. For example, we had Animove, who was kindly supporting us to get our kit for the Hampshire trips, which was amazing. We had Quidzin, who kindly supported us with a small fee as well. So we do have companies helping us. However, we are still looking for someone who would be able to take us on board and support us. And we obviously would offer back anything that would come with the sponsorship agreement. It's a tricky one because I believe in Jersey it's still a lot of it's a big gap when it comes to like being able to reach out to companies and actually show them what you can deliver. And I think sports is not really at that level where people are actually keen to commit. And we all know there's a lot of money in Jersey. So my point is like, how are we spending this money? Do we want to help the community? Do we want to help new players developing? Do we want to help future generations to actually do something useful? So it's quite challenging sometimes, but we're still trying, and hopefully with our results next year we're going to be in a better place, and we can get some funding.
Yeah, definitely. And I agree on the sponsorship. It's always the hardest thing when it comes to sport in Jersey. Obviously we're only little, so sport to excel and to improve, you've got to go off island really. So yeah, I hope you find someone. Hopefully people watching this will actually think about you, reach out to you, and help you out on that side of things. But in terms of people who want to join as well, how much would you encourage volleyball and them to come to a volleyball session just to try it out, just to see what it's like, and yeah, give it a go. What would you say?
You're definitely more than welcome to come along and give it a go. Honestly, it's always that sort of worrying first thought when you're like turning up to somewhere new. You don't know what the routine is. You turn up, but honestly, even though we seem like a funky bunch, we are actually really welcoming. You sort of come along to the first session, we take it nice and easy, and then we show you the ropes. And I'm sure by the end you'll know that what we're all talking about when we say we love the sports. So yeah, would you agree, Tim?
Yeah, and we've got various levels of players as well. So we've got people that come to the beach in the summer. We normally put sessions on generally every Wednesday for complete newbies to the sport, and then come in and join in. And we see them coming returning each summer, or even see them coming into the winter an indoor league. And actually, we've seen some of them come in and join the Jersey team from there. So they've obviously committed to that. And we also have juniors inside in the indoor sport, where they have training on Sundays. So we welcome anyone really, to be honest. But I think where we probably fall short and where it would be great is to get support from the schools. Introducing volleyball into the schools, I think would make a big difference to volleyball on the island, because there's minimal on the island. Andrea, she did it at school, and a lot of people that do play well in Jersey come from Romania or Poland or Portugal, who've played it at school, and they've had that natural ability from a young age, and they've kind of helped us as well learn as kind of people from Jersey or England. So I think the big help would be to try and introduce some of it into the schools.
Yeah, definitely.
That we're actually happy to support, and we're happy to go and give some training or give any kind of help. I know we have a few sessions aligned in the future with a few schools, and I know Tim is going to be there providing his support and knowledge. So we're really open to go and meet the schools and meet the teachers and see how we can get any new players, anyone who would come to join us.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to do it, and especially if you get people into sport young, and especially if they are naturally good at it as well, they want to continue. They want to do something that they're good at, and that'll be a good way of getting people in. And also, it's good for kids just to be involved in sport, even if they're not the best at it. So I think that's a great idea. And last few questions from me tonight. In terms of the Hampshire League, going back to that just quickly, and I guess future goals as well. What are the goals going forward competitively for both the men's and the women's side? We'll start with Tim on this one.
Yeah, so for the Hampshire League, we're back to Hampshire 2 more times. So the men are actually going this weekend, so on Saturday, to try and play 3 more games, and then we go back again in March for the final 3 games. Obviously, ideally, we'd love to go play 9, win 9. That's our aspirations this year. Next year, I think we would love to join again. Next year, I think it'll be different, because if we do well this year, then we get put into a different division because there's 2 divisions at the moment. So we'll play against teams, potentially even Guernsey in the Hampshire League next season. And then there's talk of potentially Island Games in 2027, with Faroe Islands taken over from, I think, Jonas Mon. In 2027, there's talk of potentially volleyball being back on the card. So if that is the case, I think that's everyone here would love to be able to have an opportunity to go there and play volleyball.
Amazing. Andrea, in terms of the ladies as well, what are the goals going forward, and how much would it be good to see the ladies game grow as well?
I think I would resonate with Tim here. Like, obviously we want to win most of our games, all of our games, if we could. And looking at the numbers and how many ladies are showing up lately at training sessions, I think it would be ideal if we could go next year with 2 teams representing Jersey, because you can join the Hampshire League not with just 1 team, but with 2 teams. So just having more players and getting that talent out and getting that competition thirst out would be amazing. And I think that's the goal, to just increase the sport, make sure we can have good results in the first year with Hampshire, and then if we are able to maybe compete with 2 teams next year, this is what I think would be amazing for ladies and probably for men as well, because I know they have good numbers. I remember from like years ago when we had loads of players, then obviously with COVID everything went down, but we're looking at 30-40 players now between men's and women constantly coming to training. So I think that is an amazing achievement.
Yeah, definitely. Final question for me today, and this is just to kind of promote yourselves and to give those who maybe have watched this, or to give those who have listened or watched or are interested in joining, where can they join? Where do you train? Where can they make contact with you? We'll go with Ed on this one.
Yeah, so we've as we've said, we've sort of really tried to bolster our presence on both online and in person. So probably the best way to get in touch with us is via Facebook or Instagram. If you've got either of those social media platforms, we're always sort of checking our phones, eager to sort of receive a message of, hi, I'm interested in volleyball, where can I find out? And then we should get back to you pretty much immediately. As Andrea and Tim were talking about, we do loads of training weekly, catering to like a range of levels. So no matter if you've just seen like an Olympic video on Facebook Reel, or you've been playing for ages, you're always more than welcome to get in touch and then come along. So yeah.
Brilliant. That's a great way to end it as well, I think. And guys, thank you for your time. It's been great to talk about volleyball today, and good luck going forward in your games, and also going forward in the sport on the island as well.
Yeah. No, thanks so much, Dan. Yeah, look forward to catching up in the future.
Brilliant.
And looking forward to seeing you at the next session. I saw you on the
Yes.
indoor now again.
Yeah, I'll see. I wasn't bad at school, so I might give it a go. Nah, brilliant, guys. Brilliant. Thank you for your time. And thank you to everyone who's watched or listened to this episode. Another episode of Sportscast Jersey is coming soon.